Okay, next we're going to take a look at some of the truth tables here. So as I look at these truth tables, I want to take a look at some contacts. So this would be my open contact, okay? So if I had a value of 0 in here, it would be open, and if I pushed a value of 1 in there, then you would see that this would close, okay? That means it would become true. And on a closed contact, if I had a value of 0 in there, it would be true, okay? It would show as true. And if I pushed a value of 1 in there, then it would switch states and it would open, okay? So it does the opposite. 1 changes the state of what is being shown. So 1 causes that to close, 1 causes that to open. So let's take a look at these. I'm going to use contacts and coils. So if I have 1 PB and 2 PB, turn on an output. Okay, so we'll just call this an output. Could be anything. Okay, so this is an and right away it's obvious that it's series, and that's what we've been taught. And is series. Okay, so if I have a 0 here, that means that it's the state shown, which is open, and a 0 here, that's the state that's shown that's 0. So that's not true, and that's not true, so obviously this is not going to be true. If I force a 1 in here, this changes states, which would cause this to close. So I'd have this would be closed, so great, that's true. But then I have a 0 here, so that's open. So this would be true, and that would not be true. So I don't have continuity through here, and so that's going to be off, stay off. And it's the opposite. If this one is 0, it's open. If I put a 1 here, even though this becomes true, the rung is still not true because that's open, and I got a 0 there. But if for some reason I put a 1 here, this changes states. So I get a true, I got a 1 here, that's a true, so this is going to be true. That's how that works. Let's take a look at it. Or, okay, so I have 1 PB or 2 PB, turning on my output, right? So if for some reason they're both open, well, there's no continuity either way, so that is a 0. And you notice right away that this is parallel. Or, you think an or parallel. 1, let's close button 1, but leave button 2 open. So if this becomes true, it has this path here, even though this path is open. Can't get through here, but this one becomes true, so I get a 1 there. If 1 PB is open, but 2 PB's got a 1 in it, well then that's going to be true. So I have a path this way to make it true, and I would get a 1 there. And obviously if I get a true here and a true there, by putting a 1 in there, that would be true. Okay, so now we're going to look at NANDs. So NAND, we're talking about, we're talking about that type of a contact. And this is, the series and parallel is opposite when you're looking at NANDs and NORs. Okay, so we want 1 PB and 2 PB to turn off the output. So if I put in 2 contacts here to turn on this, to turn this output, well, these are closed. So if there's a 0 here and a 0 here, that means that they're as shown. They have not changed states. So a 0 here means that this is true, and a 0 here means this is true, because as I showed you before, a 1 would change the state. So true and true. So this output would be true. So now what's confusing here is this is an AND, but it's a NAND. So because it's a not AND, this gives me a parallel circuit. As I work your way through these, be sure it makes sense here that when you have not or close contacts here, it becomes the opposite of what the AND was as far as series and parallel. So let's take push button 1. I suppose I got 1 and 2 turns it off. If I put a 1 into here, this is 1 PB, if I put a 1 in here, well, that changes state, so that opens. But I have a 0 here, so that has not changed state, so I still have a path. And this one's the same. If I put a 0 here, that's still true. The 1 causes this to change states and open, but we still have the path here, so that's. But now if we put a 1 in here, this opens. If I put a 1 in here, this changes states and it opens. So both of these have to be activated. A 1 and a 1 means that's activated and that's activated, and it would turn it off. So 1 PB and 2 PB, both at the same time, will turn that off. That is a NAND. And now let's take a look at your NOR. So once again, you think, oh, or I'm seeing parallel, but it's not, because it's turning it off. And so you need this to be series. 1 PB, 2 PB. So if this is 0 and this is 0, well, they retain their state, so that's true and true. Okay, put a 1 in there. And so if I put a 1 here, where 1 PB is, that's going to open. So if that, as soon as that opens, this goes off. If I put a 1 here on this one, well, that's going to open, causing that to go open. And obviously, if I put a 1 here and a 1 there, it's won't be true, and it would go off. So the NOR, the NOT logic, dictates that these are in series, whereas the OR with the open contacts is in parallel. And we'll do some more switching, looking at this a little bit later.